From what I gather, this is either Blue Tiger's Eye or Blue Tiger's Iron, but the camera doesn't even do it justice for the way the colors change from different angles, the way the light hits it. In any case, it's a pretty fun little rectangular stone there, and we're going to take some antique brass or vintage bronze, depending on the manufacturer, and we're going to wrap it. Probably this is 3 feet, should be a good amount. Nice little hole there, makes it easy to anchor. If you have never seen one of these videos before where I wrap a stone that's top drilled and you want to learn how to top drill, this is a really easy way. You just take a wire that's like, this is a meter or 3 feet. You don't even need that much. You can do really simple wraps with half this much, but I'm only taking a little bit more because I have no idea what I'm going to do. Zero. I just like the stone and I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Let's figure out which side do we like better. This side looks good. I think this side looks better. That's why I was showing it first. So let's put the two ends together over here so that we can pull them tight to find the middle of the stone. I mean the middle of the wire. And it's about there. That's good. And pull these tight. Pinch them. Give them a couple twists. 1, 2. Oh yeah, fun times. Bend them on a right angle and then wrap them backwards into a loop around your finger or around the pen if you want to be really careful. If it scares you to just do it freeform, it shouldn't scare you. Nothing should scare you. That's the secret of life. The majority of our problems are not real problems, but fighting the fear inside our own head. And how do you fight the fear inside your own head? You do the opposite of what the fear tells you. You don't fight the fear by rationalizing it, although sometimes that can help. You don't fight the fear by analyzing it. Sometimes that can help for a little bit, but ultimately, you got to do the scary thing that the fear forbids you from doing. And once you do it, you realize the fear was your worst nightmare, not the thing that you were afraid to do. Okay, that done. Oh, by the way, you notice I twisted it once. That kind of locks it in really good. So now I can come up over, I always think of these as like people. This is the head. And I can come up over the shoulder, like a nice over the shoulder shawl, or I can come from like under the arm. To start, let's come up over the shoulder. That's like a fun. So hold the loop still so it doesn't get moved. Come up over the shoulder. Ooh, what are you wearing tonight, madame? It's very elegant. Now take these two strands and make them dance like they're on ice skates. They can dance together. They can separate. They can totally, one can go around the back and the other one come around and meet each other. They can grab hands and spin in a swirl. It's all up to you. But I'm going to have them, they're together here, and then they're going to separate, and then they're going to spin once together, but not completely together, a little bit separate. I'm pulling a little bit harder on the inner one to get that kind of pattern, but just a little bit. And then I'm going to have them come down here. That's kind of cool. Don't those colors look good together? You can't even see it as well as the lighting here. When I had daylight, it was really nice. Let's see if I can brighten it up a tiny bit. Nah. It's not helping too much, but I'll wrap it this way now and fold it over. Okay, what are we going to do now? Let's come back around. And this is a nice pattern you can do with top drilled stones. I'm going to do it first and then I'll draw for you what I did. So we're going to do another loop here. It's kind of fun. And it's very abstract abstract arty, but it's not random and it's not just avant-garde, just blah. It's carefully looking at the stone and filling in the space with a pattern that you think will work. So I'm going to fold this over the back again and see how the back is turning out now. It's getting nice and cross-hatched, and when you have wires coming from all different directions and they're all tied down to each other in different ways, it strengthens the hold of the wire on the stone, which is all good. Back to the front. So this bottom one is falling way down into the corner. I didn't want it that far down, so let's push it up. You can also mold these quite a bit until you lock them in really tight at the end. So I want this up higher. And now I did one diagonal down the front, even though it's loopy. It's basically a diagonal down the front. Came around the back, did another diagonal down the front. Now I'm going to come back up and do one diagonal going the other way straight up back to the top. And that's pretty much a great pattern for a flat stone that's drilled at the top. And I'm going to draw it for you after I do this. But first, let's see what we're going to do here. Where are we going to come back up the top? I'd like to come back up right here. Now, we're right here. If we did just loop right back down, we'd make this awkward loop that would be completely snaggable. However, if we go wrap under these two wires, then we lock it in, and not only does it make it secure, it makes everything secure from every way. So here's a trick I learned. Let's move these out of the way for a minute. Take these and make two little like peaks, one pointing up. So I'm crimping it and crimping it like that. So I have a point going up and then a point coming down right here to face that. Now when we wrap the wires underneath them and pull them tight, these will get pulled together, and your little the way you're connecting these wires, it'll get locked in those little grooves, so it won't be sliding all over. And that will be great. Now you gotta be real careful when you're threading 20 gauge. It's not like a thin gauge. If you yank it too hard, you'll yank all your designs all out of place. So first thing we gotta do is get under here, and if we made it really tight, which we should, now it's trouble getting under. So you get your fingernail, kind of lift it a little bit, see if that, you got that. We're under one, now get our fingernail, and this is probably the crudest way to do this, but hey, it works, you know. Oh, I lost my spot under the first one. Now we're under both, and we're in. All right, it's like breaking a safe, and we're in. Pulling it through. Now here's the part where you gotta be careful, especially at the end when you're threading 20 gauge. It wants to kink and make corners and snag, and it doesn't want to flow freely like a really thin gauge would. So I'm pressing really hard to hold these, so that I'm pressing in the front, the back, holding the whole piece so nothing moves while I attempt to pull this through. And the last few millimeters, sometimes you can't just yank it. You got to feed it from the other end. You got to roll it, and it's a pain in the butt. It just is. There might be an easier way to do this, and I'll discover it, but right now I'm teaching you this pain in the butt way. Sorry. But compared to how some people wire wrap a piece for 5 hours, this is really not a big deal if you think about it. So I got one through. Now let's get the other one in. Same thing. Now it should be easier because it's lifted already a little bit. Yep, goes right in. Zoop. Pull that guy through and do the same thing. You don't need to watch me do it twice, so I'm just gonna actually that one kind of, now that one's real tight, this one doesn't have to be tight. You only need one to tighten everything down. And this one, if it stays kind of a rainbow like that, that's actually okay. I'm pretty sure. Let's look at what happened in the front. Did we mess anything up? Not really. This guy needs to be separated again. But that was easy, right? Everything else pretty much looks the same. Pull that up a little higher. Yep. Everything else looks pretty good. So now we're in position to come up here and, ooh, I'm going to make it even weirder. I'm going to come from the bottom and have the other wire comes from right here. So we're kind of hugging the corner. We're going to come from both sides here like this. Okay, see that? And immediately I'm going to have them come together. I'm going to come across there, so we're filling up that space, and then we're going to try not to interrupt him because he's got really pretty design. So we're going to try to weave around him. Let's see if we can do it. Ready? So we'll go like right here, and we could just curve, but here's the chance to make a little teeny tiny loop, and I'm going to take it. Sometimes I try not to get too busy, but other times I'm just like, here's a chance to make a loop. Let's do it, because loops always tend to, not always, but often tend to make the piece look pretty. Make a teeny tiny loop though, because I really don't have much room for a big one. See that? Okay, and I'm going to pull it even tighter. Like that loop's going to be like it's almost non-existent. Just enough for people to say, I see what you did there. That's a loop. Okay, so now we're going to come around this way. And see that? We dodged. We crossed here, but we pretty much dodged all the pretty stuff. Didn't mess him up. And now we're going to cross him at the top, but we're not crossing any of his pretty loops. So there's thought behind all of this. And now, at the end, we're going to spread these apart again because that's kind of fun, and they have room to do that right there to spread out. So this one is just going to wrap around the top loop. Just get it locked in place. Sorry, I got to move it all over because I'm between the tabletop and this camera. If I was just walking around freely, I'd be holding this up in the air with all the room for the wire. Okay, and now this guy, should we just wrap him here, or should we do one more loop? I don't know. I feel like we can do one more. These loops are all going this way. They're all going you could say they're going counterclockwise. So what if we made a loop going clockwise to just throw everybody off at the very end? Let's see, how does that look? Kind of cool, but it's kind of lonely by itself. It almost needs like a double, like all these are double. So we'll make a double. This is how you make a double with just one strand, because these are doubles because they have two strands. You make a teeny tiny one, and then you go around it with a bigger one. Like, and it has a different look to it. It's not exactly the same, but it fills in the space kind of similarly. See that? And then I like to make these fairly tight because they just look better that way. And we'll wrap it right there, holding everything tight, and come around. Whoops, just got him tangled on that other one. Come around and scarf him. Like I said, this is a person, this is a face. The easiest way to end these is to make a scarf. You start with your loop, you do your design all the way down, and then you come all the way back up, and you give the person a scarf. You wrap the scarf tight all the way up to their chin, and then you cut off the sharp ends and shove them in the scarf, and that's the easiest way to finish. So now I have these strands back together again. They went on a journey, they separated, they came, and now they're back together. Lovers together again. I'm gonna fold it over, and when I do the scarf, I wrap the stacks like this. And again, I'm sorry about this lighting, guys. I wish you could see how vivid and beautiful this is, but it's nighttime over here, and the daylight was quite wonderful while it was here, but now it's gone. So how high do you go with the scarves? Sometimes like that feels good, that feels right, especially since I'm going to put some jump rings at the top. But sometimes I'll say, no, that's too high. How was that? Was that one good? Yeah, I think this one is okay in this case, but it's pressing it. It's a little bit on the high side. Now we're going to come around the back, bend it up on a little angle like that, and then cut the two ends right in the middle of the loop like that, maybe a little further back. Boom. Now watch this. Now you have these two tabs, sharp ends, grab them both, push them into the little bowl you created, see the little oval bowl, and then pinch them deep into the bowl. Boom. And they're gone. No one will ever get them out. They will never come out and scratch anyone. The piece will never get pulled, unwound. It is solid, it's locked in. And now we make sure everything's where we want it. Kind of move that a little bit more over there. That's good, that's good, that's good. I want that a little more like that. That's good. Press it all tight. Look on the back. Are there any weak spots? Or is there anything that could get yanked or snagged? If there is, don't be afraid to take another piece of wire and, maybe this could get snagged off. I take another piece of wire, loop it here, loop it up, connect it to there. But in this case, this is really on here solid. Now you saw that moved a little bit. And what we're gonna do when we find some that move a little bit, we're gonna give it an extra little tweak. We're gonna hold it in place real tight. My fingers are all around here holding everything. And we're just gonna go straight down and twist, give it a little crimp, little crimps everywhere. Like that, wherever we find a wire that is a little bit on the loose side. But we're holding it in place as we crimp it because we don't want it to move and mess up our design on the front. And it still might, so we got to check it. But just crimp it, crimp it. Okay, now it's all crimped up. And this is also fun. You can make designs with crimps. Like it makes everything look all jaggedy, lightning bolty. So if you want that on the front of your piece, you can, do that. But you can crimp anything. You can just keep crimping and crimping. It tightens up everything. You just got to check, did we mess anything up? Because if you crimp too much, you can start pulling these designs out of place. And now this one looks like it's sticking out more than I want. I want it to curve a little bit more like that. And so I'll come down here. Oh, sure enough, that one didn't have a crimp yet. And we can crimp in the direction we want it to move sometimes too. I want it to move down, so I crimped it down. And now it's curving down the slightest bit more. You might not be able to tell the difference, but I can. And this one, see that curve? I want to accentuate that curve a little more. I want that. So I'm slowly going in millimeter by millimeter and just making that curve a little more dramatic. And sometimes you can't. You run out of wire. You can't do it. Like that one is curving more, but then it's coming back to straight. So I'm just going to leave it because I like it. I like how it's flowing now. I don't have any jump rings or cord with me. The cord is supposed to arrive in the mail, and it's arriving tomorrow, so they say. So, but what I would do at this point, you could turn this a quarter turn, put your cord or chain through. But instead, I'm going to put 3 jump rings at the top. The jump rings kind of mirror the scarf. And then I'm going to put a nice black cord, or maybe an antique bronze to match this metal. Nice chain, real pretty chain. Maybe I'll do that. in any case, I don't have any of that with me here. So you guys have a wonderful night or day. And, oh, I said I was going to draw out what this pattern is, so we'll do that real quick. Here's our stone. And what we basically did was we put the wire through. We brought the stone to the middle of the wire, and then we pinched it together, did 2 twists. We bent it on a right angle and then bent it backwards to give it this loop with the 2 strands like that. And then we twisted that around a half turn. And then at this point, although the pattern looks all like crazy, like that, it's much simpler than it looks. This is what's really happening. What we're really doing is we're going across, and you could go this way or this way, it doesn't matter, but we're basically going across with the strands, wrapping around the back, all the way around the back, coming across again, and then securing it in the back, and then coming up like that, and then scarfing it and tucking in the sharp ends. That's it. Twice diagonal this way, once diagonal that way, and wrapping it around the back each way. So it goes 1, 2, 3. And that brings us back, whoops, that brings us back up to the top. Now, the only difference is, as you can see here, it goes 1, 2, 3. And as I was saying, the only difference is once you have this pattern down, and I suggest even trying doing it straight like this, just straight lines like that until you get used to it. But once you get it down, then you can have fun and you can throw loops in there. And you're still doing the same thing. As far as the stone is concerned, it's being held in place by the same engineering forces. But to the naked eye, your eyes are going to be drawn to all the pretty loops. And it doesn't have to be loops. It could be curves. It could be spirals. It could be all kinds of stuff. So, and then on the back, what happens on the back is the first one comes around here, and then it comes around the back like this, and then it comes down again, and then it comes around the back like this, and then at some point, whoops, and then at some point, it comes back up the front, and this is here, and it comes up the front, and Well, this is all good and fine, except these can get rubbed and snagged and knocked off, and if any of them do, then the whole front design gets all messed up. So as we're going about doing our thing, we want to keep in mind, is there any way we can get these guys to intertwine and twist and tangle so that they lock each other in better? And that's what we did in the back here with this mess, so to speak. Now, one of the best ways to lock it in and tangle it is what we didn't do, get all this stuff going on and then come back up to the top from the back side and include that in the scarf maybe, or maybe go off to the side somewhere here, because then you have forces pulling it from all different directions, and that locks it all in from a structural standpoint. Okay? But, so again, if I felt like this part right here wasn't secure and someone could rub it off really easily, I would take another wire and tie it right up to there. And where would I put it when I was done? I'd wrap it around the scarf, stick it back in the little bowl, or I'd make a little curly cue and shove it in somewhere, whatever. So there we have it. A pattern for you to try with a front drilled stone that's flat, and go out. And again, every time I look at it, I'm going to tweak it. That's just, sometimes I just got to let it go and let someone wear it and enjoy it. Let it go. But you guys have a great night or a great day.